Welcome back to BizTV Canada. Have you lost that lovin' feeling for your career? When you started out as an accountant, engineer, customer service rep, or what have you, you hit the bricks running. You were ready to conquer the world, and while doing so, make it a better place to do business. But now it's 10, 20, 30 years. You find yourself just going through the motions. You used to live to work, and now you can barely drag yourself out of bed to suffer through one more day in the grind. Does it really need to be this way? Not so, says my guest, Nina Spencer. Nina has 8 great ways for you to get back on track and get more passion from your profession. Welcome, Nina. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure. Thank you.
What was the inspiration for the book?
What I found was when I did presentations for different clients, people would come to me in the breaks or afterwards and start telling me that they had stuck their ladders on the wrong wall, and they'd climbed that ladder. They'd climbed that ladder and they had reached high positions, but secretly, off the record, they weren't loving it anymore. But they felt really that classic expression about the golden handcuffs, that they felt they had the golden handcuffs and they were stuck.
And what does cause this falling out with our profession? I'm sure that there are many people that will point fingers around the office and say, well, you know, it's because I used to love my boss, I hate my boss now. And you know, the coworkers that I have now, I don't enjoy working with them anymore. And, you know, it's this, it's this, it's this. What does cause us to fall out of love with our profession and our passion?
Well, I'm sure that there are a number of answers to that. What occurs to me right off the bat is taking personal responsibility for it. Whose fault is it if we fall out of love with our job? Now we can point to the economy, stress, a difficult boss, but we always have choice. There are basically 4 choices, and it sounds like tough love, but it really is this way. Love it, leave it, change it, or stay and hate it, right? And that sounds kind of mean, but I love my job, it's great, I'm so lucky, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Fabulous. If that's
where the space you are?
Bonus, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, so there's love it, leave it, I don't like this job, it doesn't work for me, it's pulling me down, it's killing me slowly, I gotta leave. There's more than one way to earn a living, so that's leave it. But sometimes people feel that they can't leave for whatever reason. They've bought a house, they've got a mortgage, they've made commitments, they've got kids in school, kids in university, whatever it is. That's fine. If you can't leave it, then that's the 3rd choice. You know, change it. Or if you can't change it, change the way you think about it so that you can get through. And not just in a fake it till you make it sort of way, but in a way that really allows you to have peace at the end of your day.
And sometimes it's just about changing your perspective a little bit that will change the whole environment. What's work-life balance? Does it exist?
No.
I can't imagine what it even is like, because it has no existence in my business, because I'm always on, as I'm sure you are in your business. So what does that work-life balance mean?
Well, for me, when I think of work-life balance, David, I think of the a pendulum in a grandfather clock, you know, in a tall clock. That you might swing through balance when you come down to here, but then it's going to go too much work. Then you come into balance, and then it's too much family life or whatever. But it's about recognizing that work-life balance, I think when some people talk about it, it's a static moment. But the reality is life is very fluid. It's always changing. So
you only have work-life balance at a certain point, but it's not all the time.
So for me, work-life balance is at some point you realize it's too much like this. So in that case, then you say, okay, let's lighten up and do this. Oh, it's too much like that. So it's always a constant, a little to the left, a little to the right, a little to the left, until, you know, the end of your days.
So the balance is not a static point in time. The balance is just trying to get things moving in the right ways so that you do have that balance.
And sometimes I believe that imbalance, if you will, that little bit of being off kilter keeps you awake. You know, I'm thinking about
sometimes all night.
Keeps you awake and well, focused. I'm thinking about when you drive a car and you put it on auto drive, on cruise control. then you've got that beautiful fluid balance of movement as you drive along a highway. But you're not necessarily as engaged with driving when you do that. And it's the same thing in life. I think that if you're in too much balance, there's just not as much fun.
There's not
you're
much
not
excitement.
as attached, right?
You have to create some
Right?
excitement.
You got to have that foot on the pedal.
One of the things that you are passionate about is protecting a sense of humor, and you've done a great piece of expert advice on our Guru Gab segments on protecting your sense of humor. But how do you do it? Like, how do you protect that sense of humor when you're cranky and grumpy and miserable?
Well, I think this is where all those different... You're not talking about yourself now, David.
Maybe. Listen, doctor, can you help me?
This is where I think they all kind of start to hang together, and they're marbled together. Because if you do start to believe in yourself about what you bring to the workplace every day, what your contributions are, if you do start to embrace the idea of more positive words, more positive thinking, then that almost opens you up to having a better sense of humor when a big piece of eye-rolling stuff comes down the pike in the workplace, where you have that moment of choice to get stressed out, freaked out, angry, irritable, or to just laugh it off and protect your energy. And some of that will come from some of the pre-work you do with the other suggestions. Right.
When you talk about playing with perspective, are you suggesting that we don't play enough at within our lives, or we don't play enough at work, or where are we not playing enough?
Sometimes I think when we're asked as a team to come up with different ideas, we're inclined to not argue with our own information. So if we think we've got the answer, then we say, okay, here's the answer. But it isn't necessarily one of these natural law things where there is just one answer. Oftentimes there are a variety of answers, but once we think we've got the right answer, then we don't bother looking for anything else. So yeah, oftentimes there are other answers. And one of the things that I challenge people in my conference keynotes is I'll ask them to count from 1 to 10, and then I'll ask somebody else to count from 10 to 1, and I say, look at that, we can do it this way, we can do it that way. Then I'll ask another person, do the alphabet, and they'll do it, and then there's a little bit of chuckle and laughter because people know what's coming next. Right? And then I'll ask someone, okay, David, backwards. And most people will just go, ha ha ha, it's funny, it's a thigh slapper.
Right.
Because nobody expects anybody to be able to say the alphabet backwards. But let's take a look at it just from perspective. We can do 26 numeric noises this way. I could say backwards, go from 26 to 1. You say, okay, 26, 25, 24, 23. You asked me to do it, I did it. On the other hand, I say, okay, alphabetical noises, they're just 26 alphabetical noises. They're just that we've attributed meaning. We do it this way. I say backwards, everyone says it's a no can do. And we know intellectually it's not. What is that? It's about shifting perspective. So then what I challenge is, what has to happen? What has to be the big enough motivation to inspire people to be able to do something in a different way, to shift perspective, if it's actually possible?
And in my case, I don't think it would be. So,
but you know, this is another thing I say on the platform. I say, well, you know, if I had a suitcase filled with, these days we have to up the ante, we'll say $50 million. A million's no, and it's right here. It's right here. And if
well, now you got the suitcase going, maybe add another 50 million to it and I'll give it a whack.
I'm just saying that if there was money isn't always the motivator. HR studies prove that. Yes. But just to be playful with it, if we can assume that would be a motivator, and I said, the money is yours. Go out there in the hall, practice saying it backwards. The minute you can, here, suitcase is yours. Everybody would go and have a go at it. Yeah, and half of them would come back in 5 minutes saying it perfectly.
And probably be able to do it. Nina, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. The book is called Getting Passion Out of Your Profession by Nina Spencer. We'll be back with more BizTV Canada after a few short messages from our sponsors.